Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Uniquely Unqualified Podcast, episode 16. Today is Friday, May 8th, 2026. Got a few subjects I want to go over. I want to go over America's new favorite thing. They don't know it yet, but it's Hantavirus. I want to talk about Vivek, rhymes with cake. And Ohio, and then I want to get into a story that isn't, top of the hour. It's actually ongoing. The indictment was, I believe, a couple months ago, but either way, I want to get into it because it's stuff that you just don't ever hear about. So before we start all of that, please remember, like and subscribe. I do appreciate it. We're getting more subscribers. It's great. So first things first. Maybe if you subscribe to social media, at Instagram, TikTok, whatever, you might have been seeing some of these folks that just loved wearing a COVID mask. You might be seeing them on social media. I tend to think a lot of these folks that make these, videos where you just see them and they're like in their car. I think a lot of that shit's AI. I don't know. There's just a lot of fucking broke ass people in a car, and that doesn't really make sense. Anyway, so I saw one. Okay, two things. So I heard scuttlebutt about another virus on a ship, and then oh boy, and then I see a post on X of a young lady masking up. We're gonna do this. We're in it together. We're in it to win it. I really think these, each tribe, every tribe, it doesn't matter what tribe, right tribe, left tribe, Republican tribe, Democrat tribe, whatever it is, whatever your team is, you always got to be ready for battle, and I think it's true. Look this up, but I think psychologically it's true. People that politically lean more Democrat or liberal have higher levels of anxiety. They also have higher levels of depression, and their children are also have higher levels of depression, more likely to take SSRIs, and obviously more likely to be trans. So I think that what binds more conservative folk together is, a common enemy. You know what I mean? Like 9/11 happened, and then everybody, let's go to war. And I think these pandemics or whatever are, I think they are like the left's Iraq. It's their thing to go to war over. So like the moment, instead of an American flag, the moment, new virus on a boat, mask up, we're doing this. And so, so that tipped me off into like, okay, like I know what Hantavirus is. I've known about Hantavirus. If you've ever been in like a military training environment where they have little bungalows and shit out in these rural desert areas, mice and stuff live in those things, and so they have signs that say don't fucking sweep, with the Hantavirus. You gotta use bleach and do a bunch of stuff. Anyway, so I know what Hantavirus is, and it is a respiratory disease. Hantavirus only comes from wild rodents. That's it. You can't get it from anything else. Not cats, not dogs, not fucking anything. Anyway, so I look into it, and son of a bitch, if there ain't a cruise ship infected with Hantavirus. So the MV Hondias, I don't speak Dutch, so I don't know how to say it. But yeah, the boat was called the MV Hondias. It's a Dutch cruise ship. This ship has not ever been anywhere near the United States of America during this whole cycle, right? So I see this X post by this psychotic, anxiety-ridden, probably depressed, probably multiple personalities, fucking young freak putting on a mask already, and they're tooting about Hantavirus. Meanwhile, this boat leaves Argentina. I'm closer to Argentina than the United States of America. They leave Argentina with a 147 passenger and crew. So this is a small boat. It went across the southern Atlantic Ocean and ended up and is currently anchored in Cape Verde in West Africa. I do believe that there's somebody being treated in South Africa right now, but it's in Southern Africa. I hope that this is kind of like my animation with all this and my elevated tone of voice. I really hope that people kind of get my frustration with. I mean, it only takes one idiot. It just takes one. So anyway, not only this fucking boat has been below the equator the whole time, and this stupid bitch on TikTok or X or whatever is putting on a fucking mask somewhere in the Midwest of the United States of America saying, oh, it's coming. It's fucking, you got more likelihood of catching Hantavirus in, fucking Michigan than you do from this damn thing. Anyway, so it's currently anchored in West Africa. Which there is no country of West Africa, I get it, but Africa, the continent, it's not on the eastern side, it's on the western side, with access to South African hospitals, which is a country in Africa. There are 7 to 8 total cases. Yes, that's what my research, not 8, not 7, but 7 to 8. 7 to 8 total cases. 3 of those have been deaths. Now, I think one person or 2 people are in a hospital in South Africa. Couple little notes here. So, as I said, Hantavirus only comes from wild rodent feces. So this being a boat, a ship, there's rodents on it. I don't think there's one seagoing vessel with no rodents on it. To my understanding, unless you're like a sailboat, you get out in the water, you kill all the mice, you don't ever come to port or dock or whatever, and then you can't have any mice or rats. But as far as all of the cruise ships, ports are not in like nice parts of town. Ports are industrial, dirty places. And so, yeah, you're gonna have mice and rats and bats and wild cats and wild dogs and fucking homeless people and shit. So we got that under control. So small boat, 7 to 8. Hantavirus comes from mice and rodents. That's where it comes from. It turns into a respiratory virus, but it comes from mouse poop. The risk is, according to my research and my understanding over the decades that I've known about Hantavirus, the risk is low. It's not likely to catch Hantavirus, which probably means that the ship hadn't been properly cleaned in a hot minute, and I say properly because how you get the Hantavirus into your respiratory thing is, as I said, in military training areas, they would have signs up on the wall in these places where you'd set up, your cot because you're in your site, or you're on your range, and you're gonna be there for a week or whatever. They say there's things that say don't sweep with a broom. Don't sweep the hantavirus. You need to hose it out and bleach the floor, because once you sweep it, whatever that thing is that's in the poo, that's when it gets disturbed, it gets kicked up into the air, you breathe it in, boom, you have hantavirus. Very treatable, very survivable. Anyway, but as I said, these lefties are, I'm already hearing about it. These people are fucking ready, man. They want it. It's crazy. Nobody wants it. But you see these, and I'm saying lefties. I'm not saying Democrats overall. I'm saying these psychotic fucking people that have nothing better to do than worry about shit that they aren't qualified to worry about. If they worried about doing their hair right and putting on some real clothes, they'd have a job, they'd have some stress in that direction, so their stress tank would be full on that, instead of worrying about a ship that's never come north of the fucking equator. Anyway, so there no actual entity, no actual official medical hospital, journal, the CDC, nobody is declaring this a pandemic yet. But if we don't talk about it right up front and get shitty with it, then it could. So we gotta talk about this and make sure nobody can fuck with us with it. So okay, that's a little bit of factoids on the hantavirus. So, folks, we can never, I'm not even going to say should, we can never do the COVID thing ever again. And by the COVID thing, I mean lockdowns, I mean mandates, I mean quelling free speech, I mean all that stuff. We can never do that to ourselves again. Look what it did to us. Like, we got to deal with, when by the time I'm 80 years old, some of these poor children that have been raised as babies, never seeing, in a developmental phase of their life, never seeing their moms smile, children in school still trying to develop their nonverbal communication skills, which you need the whole damn face to develop those skills. And so we're going to have a whole different new type of autism, because it's like, oh, I didn't know what he meant because I grew up with everybody with a fucking mask around their face and I couldn't see him going, nah, 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 acting me like an idiot, this is what this shit leads to. And so the third and fourth order consequences, and that's what these overly emotional, crazy fuckers don't understand, is like, I don't care what makes you feel good right now. I guess if you want, wear that mask. I don't believe it should be legal to wear masks. It's not legal to wear a baseball hat in a bank. You can't wear sunglasses on a bank. You can't wear a mask in a bank. And anytime, the day before a mask mandate came out, you would have been fucking arrested or at least interrogated on the street if you were running around making noise wearing a mask. And then all of a sudden it became okay. And then of course it didn't work. Sorry folks, they didn't work. They never worked. They were never gonna work. Everybody knew that they didn't work. It was just optics. So this whole thing, the fact that the news even picks this kind of shit up, just terrifies me. It's like, okay, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Well, now we can say, oh, we get the new hantavirus vaccine. Oh my God, what are you gonna do? You're gonna kill off every fucking rodent on the planet? You gonna do that? Because that's the only way you'd stop it. You'd have to kill off every single rodent on the planet. Think of this. I believe it's like the biomass of rats to humans in New York City is like almost equal, which means that the weight, if you take every single human being in New York City, this is probably, could very well be not true, but I think it's true. It's either biomass or people to rat ratio. One of the two. Either way, New York is filled with rats. Filled with rats. You know how much hantavirus is just chilling in the sewers under those grates that are like pumping up hot air into the city. You know how much Hantavirus those folks are just running around in all day? And how many cases of Hantavirus do you get in New York every year? Just you look it up for yourself. And then after you look up how many cases of Hantavirus there are in New York City, then look up how many of them die. And then, once they tell you that, oh, this is going to be a problem, I don't really think that they're going to say it's going to be a problem, but this is just one of those things where if you let the wrong fucking people take the wheel first, we're going off the cliff. And we let the wrong people be in charge of the AIDS pandemic, or epidemic. We let the wrong people be in charge, and they just so happen to be the same people in charge of the COVID-19 stuff, which is quite interesting. Because I remember when the first SARS-CoV come out, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh!" I lived in Los Angeles with my father, and everybody was like, "Oh, what is this? Oh, we're gonna get sick. Oh, it's a new thing. It's a new thing." That's as far as it went. Fauci didn't take on. Fauci was in his position still. Fauci didn't take on this whole like, I'm gonna save the world, kind of a thing like he did with the AIDS epidemic and he did with COVID. And famously, Fauci said the same shit, word for word, safe and effective, versus AZT and the Pfizer and Moderna injections. So my biggest concern with this here is just simply that there's some really stupid fucking people in the Western world that are going to start kicking up dust over this. Meanwhile, 3 people died out of 147. The rest have been hospitalized, and they're going to survive, methinks. And so you're going to turn the whole world, this is what they would want, turn the whole world upside down again. This is kind of like the same thing about being exhausted with Iraq, Afghanistan, and now we're fucking with Iran again. Same damn thing, like there's no public support for the shit in Iran. There would be no public support if you tried to put down mandates and make people mask up for Hantavirus. It's ridiculous. I used to live on a big piece of property in Boise, Idaho. I had a field behind me, creek run back into my backyard. I had snakes, rats, mice all over the place. The damn mice thought I bought this Corvette for them. And the next thing I know is I'm starting to see like dog food in the back hatch of the Corvette. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And thank God they didn't tear up any of my wiring or any of the upholstery or they were just bringing stuff from other parts of the garage in the house and putting it in the Corvette. And I must have caught 6 of these damn mice just using those old Victor snap traps. I think I caught 6, got them all. But there were 6 damn mice that were just like, oh, nice car, we're taking it. And I drove this damn thing, I was all over the damn place. And when you live on a farm or a situation like that, you've got mice, you've got rats. That's what you got. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Just like respiratory illnesses, pollen, stuff that makes you cough. It's everywhere. Everywhere. And you can't get rid of it. Just like you were never going to stop the flow or the spread or the case rate or the viral load or blah, blah, blah with the COVID bullshit. It was never going to happen. Never going to happen. And so now we got people all getting all freaking bent out of shape about Hantavirus. And you know what? You know why? It's because they don't know. That's why. It's because they're not educated. They don't know. But because they already get all revved up about it, they're like, oh, nope, I've already got this proclivity that I have to be on high alert. Okay, case in point. This is something similar, totally different subject. Not COVID, not Hantavirus, mold. So I used to run this national construction franchise, and we had a division where we did mitigation, mold mitigation. and remediation and asbestos tear out, abatement, and lead, paint, and blah. Right? So we did that. Well, there's this part of Boise called the North End, and it's a very liberal part of town. Gorgeous, very, very beautiful, great restaurants, freaking beautiful. Big houses, these old 120-year-old craftsman houses, big square footage. They cut them up into apartments. They put up walls and they make apartments. 2 in the basement, 2 on the main floor, 2 upstairs, however the fuck they do it. So I get to and they all have mold in it. By the way, every damn property in the country of the United States of America has mold in it, folks. 100% of them. You're all living with mold. You're all living with toxic black mold. You're gonna fucking die. Anyway, so I go to this old house, laughing plaster walls, lead paint everywhere, blah, blah, blah. It's more dangerous to try to search behind the baseboards because it's lead paint. It's more dangerous to do that. So this young lady, very young family, a young couple with a baby, this bitch gets it into her head that this is toxic black mold and her baby is going to die. That is what she thinks. I being the professional at this whole thing, I run the fucking company, and I'm telling you, you're good. But because I respect the fact that you are a young, scared mother, I'll do you one better. I'll get 2 people to come in here. I'll get a lab tester, somebody from the lab that we bring in that I was able to convince the owner of the property to pay for, and I was also able to convince the owner of the property to pay for what the hell else? I brought somebody else in. Anyway, a third-party person, but he needed to be paid for his time. I think he was also from the lab company. Anyway, so this lady has three things going against her thought, but God damn it, she's right. And the 3 pieces of evidence against her no evidence were not sufficient enough. She wanted out of that lease. Her baby was going to die. We don't know what we're talking about. Meanwhile, our industry is worth billions of dollars a year, and we run around. I'm not running around trying to scare you and tell you, oh, yep, your baby's going to die. I'm here to tell you, hey, chill out. It's okay. You got 1 spot in this corner. If you're really that fucking scared about it, hit it with some bleach. But don't, we're not going to tear this 100-year-old house down because you got a little fucking mold in your corner or mildew in your shower. We're not doing that. And so I tell her, you're fine. The tests come back like an air test. They set this thing up in the house. It's a big square thing, and it sucks air in. And it reads the parts per million of mold in the atmosphere. And that reading was negligible, completely safe. No insurance company nor owner would approve to do any work based on that reading. So right there, her whole bitch and complaint is out the window. Either move out, break the lease, lose your deposit, or shut up and understand that you're fine. I told her, the test told her, the lab person told her, nope, it's not good enough. Nope, we're wrong. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. The professional is wrong. You're a nut. You're a nut telling the professional that they're wrong. And that's what this whole that's what this whole Hantavirus would essentially turn into if we let some of these people that don't know. You don't know. This lady doesn't know about mold. I do. She does not. I would love to educate you to it. And here's all of the literature about it. Oh, and by the way, this comes from the CDC because I work with insurances, and that's federally regulated. And it behooved me to not come with you with, Dr. Bill's fucking mold report. No, I'm going to come to you with, here's the CDC and telling you what to be concerned about with what types of mold. And oh, by the way, that ain't even black mold. So, when I say that's like, I've known about Hantavirus for decades, yeah, when I first saw the sign, I was like, fuck, don't nobody touch a broom. Don't nobody touch a broom. I don't want to die from Hantavirus. Nobody got Hantavirus. And oh, by the way, everybody swept those buildings out. So, It's kind of that's the same concept with COVID. Don't go outside. Anyway, so yeah, keep an eye out for that one, folks. This one should die off real quick. I just wanted to bring it to your attention that there's a boat south of the equator and 3 people sniffed rat poop. Moving on, Vivek Ramaswamy, Ohio. So getting into my notes here, I just saw this today. I'm a little late on this one because I believe the primary was on Monday or Tuesday, one or the other. So Vivek won the Republican primary for the governor's race in the state of Ohio. Vivek won every county. He and a total of 82% of the Republican vote in the state of Ohio. He beat a person by the name of Casey Push. And like I said, he swept every county. I don't know who Casey Push is. I don't care. You do. You go look into it. So on November 3rd, 2026, voting day, Vivek Ramaswamy, I like Vivek. I do. I don't even mind his rhetoric about the H-1B visas or the things for workers to come in, because when you listen to, you don't want this to be true, but he's right when you listen to his rhetoric about how Americans are focused on the wrong shit. And so we're not producing number geeks. We're not producing math geeks the way India is, the way Sri Lanka is, the way fucking China is. We're not. Why? Because we're too focused on TikTok and football. And so I don't care, you know, it's like, do I want what, you know, I've said this before, you know, Boise, Idaho is teeming with immigrants, but they're, you know, they're legal. They're allowed to be there. They own businesses. They go to work. You know, some of them, you know, yeah, sure. Some of them are a pain in the ass, but by and large, you know, a bunch of these immigrants that they come in and they're productive and they raise their family and they buy a house and they live the American dream. I've seen so much of it. It's absolutely true that they do that. And if you're gonna do that, then get the fuck in here. Do it legally, get the fuck in here, start a business and wow me. I knew this Iranian man. Built this whole custom cabinetry setup for his kids in this upstairs, this mansion. And it's like a secret cubby hole, but it's this big old like 300 or 500 square foot playroom for the kids, and some cheap shit was built, and so I went in there and gave him a big deal. And I didn't hit him too hard on the invoice, but this guy owned like a big machining company of some sort. I spoke more with his wife than I did him, but his wife was tipping me that they knew damn well that they were going to have to write that check for that invoice. They knew it, but they showered us with gifts of $100 in tips per day. I was there for a week, so I basically got a $500 bonus for the job. Plus they paid the invoice. Plus, we walked out of there with freshly imported pistachios, Iranian pistachios. Why do I say that? Because I don't fucking care if you're an immigrant and you come in. Just do it legally and then contribute. And then if you're doing it legally and you're contributing, do it the American way. Spread the love. And they do. They did. So, you know, and it makes the damn community better for it. So, Americans, if you would like to see more Americans in these geek positions, then take these goddamn phones away from your fucking kids and make them do their homework. Make them do a better job. Make them focus on what your kids are doing. Look at their handwriting. Tell them, fix your handwriting. That looks like slop. Because that's you as a parent, that's your job. You know, if a kid wakes up and gets his own teeth brushed and he's able to set his own alarm, get his poop in a group in the morning, you know, that's $5 extra an hour for a job. Good handwriting. Another $5 extra an hour for a good job. You show up to a job 10 minutes early and you leave 10 minutes after you need to, that's another $5 an hour for you. But the problem is you learn how to read. Bang, that's a management promotion, right? Another $5 an hour. But because we don't look at it like that, nobody's telling their kids, hey, fix your handwriting. Don't color your hair like that. Why? Because, now I can't even, as an employer, I can't even read your handwriting on your application. Into the trash with it, no job, so that's no dollars an hour. Fix your goddamn handwriting. Stop dyeing your hair 3 different colors. You're a piss poor representation to the company, and I'm not going to hire you. That has nothing to do with your inalienable rights. It's your right. Do what you want. Color your hair. It's my right to say, I'm not hiring you because you look like a clown. So, that's Vivek's argument, I think that sport is absolutely necessary. But, get the damn kids involved in mathematics, in English, and sport. If you know how to do math and you know how to read and you know how to work on a team, you're unstoppable. You're literally unstoppable. That's the key. That's a key secret. Do some math, know how to read and write, and know how to work together. Boom. There you go. But Americans aren't doing that. So when Vivek says that he thinks that the H-1B visa program, we need to bring other people in because Americans are fucking stupid and lazy, yeah. Anyway, he beat Casey Push. So now, on November 3rd, 2026, Vivek is going to go up against Dr. Amy Acton. Democrat, obviously. The state of Ohio has not elected a Democrat for governor for over 20 years, so it ain't looking too good. But here's a little bit of shit about Amy Acton. And it's not as slimy as I wanted it to be. I looked further into it and I was like, okay. Could have gone both ways though. So Dr. Amy Acton, A-C-T-O-N, won the Democrat primary in Ohio unopposed. Let's get into that word. Unopposed means that the candidate becomes the official nominee for the general election automatically with no vote or contest required. Now, Kamala Harris got the presidential nomination for the Democratic Party unopposed. And so when you use that word in that context, that's bad. No. Can't do that shit. But they do. However, in this case, it's a technicality, and the Democratic Party in the state of Ohio could have just foisted her, but they didn't. So the deal with Dr. Amy Acton is that there are no other Democrats that filed or qualified to run. So that's why she was unopposed. Yet again, just another person that we've never gotten to hear any of their ideas, so you don't know if they're a dipshit. And frankly, if you're all over the place and you don't put the doctor in front of my name, put the doctor in front of my name. I am Dr. Amy Acton, not Amy Acton. I am Dr. Amy Acton. And so that kind of just tells me right there that you're probably a bitch. And if you need that designation, sure, it's proper, but if I have a PhD, I bet you not everybody's going to know about it. My closest friends will know about it. And then it'll be an inside joke to call me Dr. Chris. But people that like hold that they need that as part of their identity. I don't agree with like if you have like a thing or or just an identifier that makes you. You know, it's not the same as being a fisherman or a captain of a boat. I'm a captain of a boat. Yes, that's a physical action that you do. Doctor. Well, if you're a doctor and you're running for governor, you're either a PhD or you could be an MD, but you ain't doing doctor shit because you're the governor. And so the fact that you need that designation to be, it's a qualifier, I'm qualified. I am qualified, I'm a doctor. Because this young 40-year-old Vivek Ramaswamy is he's just Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm Dr. Amy Acton. So anyway, no, there was just no other Democrats that filed and qualified to run in the state of Ohio. Now, when you look at the way that Vivek Ramaswamy won the primary. I was intrigued with Vivek when it came to the 2024 election and his rhetoric. I would love to see Vivek win the Ohio gubernatorialship. Would love to see that, because I would like to see him get into politics, and I would like to see him do great in one of the most important swing states to usher him up to qualify to run for president. He is absolutely a brilliant young man. He's my age. He threw his hat in to run for the president of the United States. Then backed off and supported Donald Trump. Smart move, just because, if Trump says not him, you're screwed. We just saw that after a bunch of these other Republican, they call them rhinos, right? So what was it, like 5 Republicans with Trump endorsement dethroned a few Republican seats in important states. No, I don't remember the states, forgive me. But they dethroned these rhinos, these folks that are making it a little bit harder for the Republican Party to unify. One thing about the Democrats is they are fucking united. They are united. And the Republican Party is more, we're still bickering and bitching, but better a bunch of functioning bitching and bickering than dysfunctional united people. You don't want that. So I would like to see Vivek be president one day. I think I would like that. I would absolutely. Let's see how he does. Let's see how he does on November 3rd. Like I said, Ohio hasn't had a Republican governor for over 20 years. I don't see why that would change now, especially when you look at the political landscape in Ohio and you look at the whole damn thing. The whole damn thing. Vivek won the whole thing. Just for the primary. It just gets him up into the running, the runoff against the Democrat. And frankly, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if a Democrat won Ohio. So hopefully here in the next few months we are going to see Governor Ramaswamy. Now here's to one that I got notes here on the handheld computer. But here's one that actually started back in March. But the thing is, not that it's necessarily currently relevant. It's just that, did you know about this? And do you know of how many more are doing it? Probably not, because the news cycle won't cover this stuff. Like this thing that I'm about to share, this is news. And this is the kind of behavior by an official person in the justice system. This is the type of behavior that the American people need to be made aware of, so that when we go to vote for somebody, or which based on how you vote locally is going to determine how people appoint other figures. And so if you don't vote properly, and by properly I mean informed, not, this didn't go badly, but the only reason why Arnold Schwarzenegger won the gubernatorialship in California is because he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's the reason why. He's Arnold. And it was like, oh, he's a super famous actor, he was a registered Republican, married to one of the Kennedys, and he was a very likable candidate. California's economy was going gangbusters at the time, and everybody was on high in California. And I remember when Arnold got into office, and I don't remember it going badly. But the only reason why he got in was because he was Arnold. That's it. You didn't have to do any research. What research are you going to do? Go watch Conan. There's your research. Who's he married to? That's literally all you got. He had no qualification to be governor. And so it's the same thing with a lot of, but it, you know, it might have gone okay in that case, but in all the rest of these cases, what's her name? Katie Wilson in Seattle, Mamdani in New York, fucking that Muppet character in Chicago. I don't know why I can never remember his name. But he just looks like a dipshit. Anyway, he looks like a, what was that thing's name? Beaker? On the Muppet Show? Was it Beaker? Me. That's what the fucking, he looks like a black beaker from the Muppet Show. Okay, so, yeah, so vote properly, which means be informed, and regardless of who they are on the outside, you need to vote for the inside. I don't care about their hair, their eyes, their smile, their rhetoric. What's the track record? What's the track record? Have they written a book? What's the book about? What's the content of the book? Does the book say shit like Mark Carney's book did, that said we need to leave everything in the ground, and that's what he's going to do? I'm not going to do that. You wrote a book about it. Are you going to, you know, like Benjamin Netanyahu? Iran's 2 weeks to 5 years away from getting a nuclear bomb, said in 1993. 1995 comes around, a book comes out. Iran's 2 weeks to 5 years away from a bomb. Fast forward to 2000, still nothing. Fast forward to 2008, still nothing. All through Obama. You know, yeah, they were enriching uranium. But did they have a nuclear bomb? No. Was it 2 weeks? No. Was it 5 years? No. Look at that track record, and now Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to literally kill every Muslim in the area to take over for the Greater Israel Project. Read his fucking book. Hitler, he wrote a book called Mein Kampf, Mein Struggle. And in it, he told you everything that he was gonna fucking do if he got elected. And he did it. So read these people's books. If it says some crazy shit in that book, don't vote for them. If they are a do-nothing, basement-dwelling person, I don't give a fuck if you went to Oxford, you don't have a job, you're living in your parents' basement, your parents are paying for your goddamn children's childcare, and you're useless. You're useless. You have no qualifications to be mayor of Seattle, and it's gonna go bad. It's already going bad. People are already complaining. People complain in New York. Mamdani. I mean, like, it's just a smile and a rhetoric. Stop voting for that shit. And then you would not have a judge by the name of Tanzanika Ruffin. Oh, fuck, because Shaquanda was taken or something, I don't know. That's her fucking name, Tanzanika. Tanzanika Ruffin. Oh, Lord. The Louisiana Supreme Court suspends her license after being indicted for stealing $250,000. She was a criminal defense attorney, and she's like, I think 90,000. We'll get into it in the handheld computer right now. She like 90,000 wire fraud, but yeah, $250,000. So I will let you know more here. So we're gonna read this together. So Tanzanika Ruffin, also known as Tanzanika Ruffin, 48-year-old criminal defense attorney in New Orleans, Louisiana, was federally indicted on wire fraud charges in March 2026. Did you know? We're in May. This was in March. Did you know? This is a judge. You should know this. Details of the case. Indictment, March 13, 2026. A federal grand jury charged her with 1 count of wire fraud. Prosecutors allege she defrauded the family of a client, Kai Hansen, charged in a 2025 battery assault case involving a New Orleans Police Department officer, of approximately $250,000, with the indictment focusing on around $90,000 in wire transfers. The scheme, alleged scheme. Ruffin reportedly told the out-of-state family that the money was needed for restitution or compensation to a fictional injured New Orleans Police Department officer. and a fake mutual non-disclosure agreement involving the officer in the New Orleans Parish District Attorney's Office. None of these existed. She allegedly spent the funds on personal expenses, vacations, luxury items, rather than any legitimate purpose. Plea and bond. She pleaded not guilty. Bond was set at $100,000. So here's her consequences that she's going to face. She got her license suspension, so she's not able to practice law. Not a judge, she's a lawyer, my bad. So she's not able to practice law. Louisiana Supreme Court issued an interim suspension of her law license shortly after the indictment, barring her from practicing law pending the case outcome. But it doesn't look good for her. Additional allegations. In April 2026, during her arraignment, federal prosecutors reported investigating claims that she defrauded another client as recent as April 1 after the initial indictment and suspension. So she got indicted, and then seems March, April, right? So she got indicted and then did the shit again. Okay, before I go into the background here, liberal judge, liberal lawyer, doing, BLM shit, buying vacations, stealing money from people, and buying nice houses. And I say BLM shit because that's just what the head of the nonprofit that is Black Lives Matter, those folks just took millions and bought property with it. And I had a friend that thought that Black Lives Matter protests were going to be a thing, and I immediately called bullshit on it. And look where we are now. So I would like to know what the fuck it is with these brazen assholes that think that they can get away with this. Well, they've been getting away with it for a long time. That's what's wrong with them, and we need to stop letting them get away with it. So the background, okay. Ruffin has practiced law in Louisiana since 2004, focusing on criminal defense. She previously worked as an Orleans Parish Assistant District Attorney, but was fired in 2004 amid an extortion investigation. Oh, so this ain't new. Unrelated to the current case. Obviously, it was back in 2004. Statute of limitations has ran out. She has faced prior professional discipline. As of the latest reports, around mid-April 2026, the criminal case is ongoing with no trial date widely reported. She faces up to 20 years in prison and a $250,000 fine if convicted. There are no reports of her death, disappearance, or other unrelated incidences. This appears to be the main recent event associated with her name. They're gonna whack her. The fact that they have to fucking say, seems like she's still alive. She's still alive. They're gonna smoke her ass. Anyway, it's, ladies and gentlemen, it's very, very upsetting to me that that's the demographic of people that are committing this kind of shit. Of course, conservative folks commit fraud. They do fraud. Conservative folks have gone down for wire fraud. Conservative people in government have. Absolutely. I get it. Yes. But you want to know what? Right now, you're just not seeing all of them being committed. It's not like you're not seeing it 50-50, right? You're seeing liberal states, Democrat-ran states, in not only like physical shambles. The reason why this whole redistricting shit was going on this year isn't because people are trying to cheat. It's because of the amount of people that moved during COVID. You can't keep the same congressional seats in California if millions of people left. You have to redistrict. And by the way, California's redistricting stands. Texas's stands. Florida's stand. Virginia's does not, because they're not representing. It's either racial gerrymandering, which there was a whole bunch of southern states doing that, a whole bunch. It was either that, or they were removing Republican seats from conservative districts. You can't do that. And that's why their map got reversed. Well, what's Virginia's political demographic? Well, their governor is Abigail Spanberger. What's she? A liberal, but like one of these crazy wild lefty liberals. And Gavin Newsom. What's going on there? He's ran that beautiful state into the damn ground, and everybody left. Everybody left. And so where'd they go? They went to, a whole bunch of other places in the West. But Idaho, lots of California folks, lots of Washington and California folks going into Idaho. A lot of the California folks went to Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, Texas, and Florida. And so with that amount of population shift, you have to, it's like, well, if California goes from 40 million people to 30 million people and Idaho goes from 2 million to 12 million, well, we need more representation, folks. It doesn't stay a 2 million person state because we don't have 2 million people. We got 12. See? And so, the reason why you're seeing all these already primarily red states go completely red is because all these people that fled these liberal hellscapes, they were either already conservative or they came to the conclusion, oh shit, this is what these people stand for. I don't stand for that. I'm leaving and I'm gonna go live in Texas, buy a ranch and a gun and a horse and a 4x4. And I'm gonna be a fucking gun-toting, red-voting American. And so that's, so you don't get to keep your population. If you're ruining your state and everybody leaves, you don't get to keep those congressional seats because you don't have the population. And same thing with New York. New York, Mamdani gets in, and the whoever funded Mamdani also catches the ear and fills the pocket of Hochul. And so even though initially Hochul said that she's not going to go along with some of the things that Mamdani said, Mamdani gets into office, boom, she says, okay, we're going to do all this stuff. And that's when billionaires and businesses left New York State and city and state for places like Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Nevada. And, you go into California and it's trash. It's trash. And, it's so funny. It's like, you can see it. You can go there, you can see it, smell it. And then this dickhead will come to you and say, isn't this just the most beautiful sight you've ever seen? We're the 4th largest economy. Can you believe that? We've done so much and so well. But that goes completely against what you're looking at. So, these AGs that are just letting fucking criminals go free, violent criminals go free, that's happening in blue states, in blue counties, under blue AGs. It's not happening in fucking red states. You would not catch that shit happening in Idaho. You commit a crime in Idaho, you're going to jail. You better get a good lawyer, spend less time in jail, but you're going to jail. Texas, same thing. Florida, same thing. And what do people want? Well, we just want to be able to walk around with our children downtown and not have to worry about stepping in human feces or going to a playground and falling in the sand. And you know how small a needle is? Even if it's on one of those pads and it's not sand, if there's a contaminated needle and you trip and you fall and that on a needle and that flexible thing bends that needle up and sticks you, and somebody had hepatitis or HIV, and now that poor little kid, I don't, there was this thing back in the 80s, and I don't think this ever actually happened. Maybe it did, but I don't think, look it up. But it's not the point that it did or didn't happen. It's the point that we were talking about it. When I was a little kid, we weren't allowed to play in the ball pit in the McDonald's play area. Because somebody did some kind of drugs in some McDonald's ball pit and some kid got stuck with a needle. I don't know if that's true. It's kind of like the same thing where it's, you go out on Halloween and your parents say, we got to check every piece of candy to see if it's been tampered with. That is folklore. I don't think there's ever been a razor blade or a poisoned anything going into a piece of Halloween candy. That was just an excuse for your parents to eat your fucking candy. And then also, I think that it might even be the case for, you can't go in the ball pit because when I say it's time to go, we gotta go, and I'm not gonna drag your ass out of that ball pit. That could be what it is too. So, why the hell was I saying that? So these things, these dirty fucking places, we want our children to be able to go and play in the playground safely. And we do not want chomos and frickin', violent schizophrenics just walking through frickin' town. And they just decide, I'm going to go over here. That kid looks like a good person to smack, abduct, something, harm in some way, scream in their face. We don't want that. I get that you crazy lefty social Marxists do, but you don't, with all this congressional redistricting, you guys need to really start waking up and understanding that, okay, have your own opinions and stuff, but just also understand that the vast majority of people, productive people, do not agree with you. And largely, we can disagree on a million things. But when it comes to, no, we think that there should be people living homeless on the street, defecating in our front yards, and doing drugs in our backyards around our children. That's freedom. No, it's not. That's cruelty. That's cruelty. And everybody knows it except for you psychos. And nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants this shit around except for you guys. Okay, fine. Well, then that means that we're all going to leave and take our money and go to some place where I know that the taxes are better. You go to a place like Idaho, 6% sales tax, 6% income tax, 6% state tax. Across the board. Has been for the entire time my mom's lived there. Since the early 90s. We have we have a surplus of, I think, $1 billion in the state of Idaho. No legalized marijuana. 6% flat tax throughout the whole state. Super easy to start a business. Getting a little bit of a pain in the ass to build a house and pull permits in Ada County, more liberal county. But then you look at California, and you got different tax rates, all of them over 6%, a budget deficit, and everything's trashed. People are going to catch wise to this. And then he's like, okay, my stepmother, I won't disclose who she is. She's got a shitload of money. She's also a very slight lady, sensitive to the sun and, outdoor weather and such. California's very warm. Idaho, especially the Treasure Valley, has a tendency to have some really bullshit weather patterns and just be cold. Be cold. Like chalkboard dry and bitter cold, or wet and gray and cold and muddy. Anyway, when my father and her moved up there, she apparently took a liking to it, and when my father died, sold the house. She has her own house in Southern California, but she stayed in Idaho because of the taxes. So California lost that portfolio too. So I've got one of these that hits close to home. So when it comes to all this redistricting, that's why. Because you guys run a shit show in California and Illinois. And look, there are still beautiful, great parts of town in California and Illinois. I'm sure that Messina, New York is largely unaffected by all the bullshit of the greater areas. You don't hear a whole hell of a lot of bad stuff coming out of Buffalo. You know, and then the inverse to that is Florida. If there's a new crazy chemically drug to inhale or inject, they're going to do it in Florida, and you're going to see these people eating people's faces on the side of the freeway, only in Florida. So yeah, there's shitty places in Florida, there's shitty places in Idaho, there's beautiful places in New York, there's beautiful places in California, but by and large, those blue states suck. They suck. And anybody with a half a brain, and it's not even the resources, you know, I mean, it is. You need the resources. But it's also a decision to, you know, pack up. We're leaving. How are we doing it? Don't know, but we're doing it. We're getting out of here. So that's what I got for you. It's Friday. And I got to go to class tonight. I hope everybody has a great Friday. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. We'll be back here on Monday. Maybe some crazy shit will go down over the weekend. And we'll have something to talk about. Otherwise, I'm going to start digging up stories that you never heard of. Like this lawyer extorting what could be untold amount of money out of clients. And she just so happened to be a lefty accused activist lawyer. I'm not even picking on defense attorneys. It's just that, you know, she's a lefty defense attorney. Notice I never mentioned to you once that she was black. Uniquely Unqualified Podcast. That's a wrap for episode 16. Have a great weekend. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you on Monday.